come a few years back and give us their spiel, their propaganda, their fancy graphics. And they got pies pretty much, yeah? They got their okolas handed to them. Just like same thing at the DOI hearings that we had here last year. You know, but as you can see, they don't listen to our voices. Yeah, they just don't listen. So we gotta keep saying the same, we gotta keep beating the same drum, and kupa'a, iki aloha ina. So that's why we're here to talk story, to see from the various sides, some people who are protesting this all together, some people who are trying to infiltrate this, and some people who think this is actually a good idea. So hopefully this is a safe place for everybody to share their mana'o. Let's try not to be too critical, because we're gonna all have a chance to share some mana'o. But in the end, we all together, we all live here, we all share this mauna, we all share these vais. So that's the bottom line too. Again, tomorrow's the deadline. So if you want to enroll or disenroll, or you don't even know if your name is on the list, yeah, hang around and wait till afterwards. We'll actually have some of the wahine and some of us who can look up your name and the names of your ohana to see if they're on the list. And we'll also have some, oh, there we go, lots of names. We'll also have some pre-stamped envelopes with some disenrollment forms and some other handouts up there for anyone who might be interested in that. So again, I don't want to ramble too much, but for just a brief intro, and this isn't a Halavai Aloha Aina. There was an awesome Halavai Aloha Aina, maybe some of you have heard about it, happened last Friday in Oahu. And this isn't the same thing, but there will be future events like that. So I encourage you all to check it out, check out their streams, their videos, very, very informative, very, very specific. And then we need that kind of focus over here in our communities in Hilo. We're a little bit behind sometimes with that kind of stuff, only that kind of stuff. Yeah, we're ahead of the game on other things, but in any event, just want to say that this is not a Halavai Aloha Aina, but there will be future ones, and if you'd like to kuka afterwards, coordinate with some of the people who are interested in that, you can. So I'm just going to start real briefly. I want to get into the speakers here, and we're going to just go through this Na'i Aupuni website. So I'm not trying to feed you the propaganda here, just show you what they got going. So this is their website. You go to na'iaupuni.org, and you scroll down. Okay, so what is Na'i Aupuni, right? You can scroll down. They got nice graphics. Got nice cultural symbols, but Na'i Aupuni, right, it exists to establish a pathway to Hawaiian self-determination. And to me, that's only one sentence, but bugger's troubling already. Yeah, self-determination, yeah, by definition, cannot be initiated, controlled, or monitored by the occupying state. And so, as we've seen with OHA's Kana'i Olovalu, Hawaiian Row, Act 195. There's already, well, the state initiated this process, yeah? Just because OHA handed it off to Na'i Aupuni, yeah, which is supposedly an independent group, you know, self-determination is kind of perverted in this sense, yeah? To use self-determination here is pretty ridiculous, if you ask me, because self, it's all about the self, yeah? And this is not the self, this is the state, yeah? Controlling this process, initiating this process, and handing it off to their hand-selected groups. So that's just one sentence, yeah? We'll go to the next sentence here. Na'i Aupuni is dedicated to respecting all who choose to travel on this path. And that may be true, but what about those of us who choose not to travel on this path? What about those of us who did not choose to have our names a part of this process, yeah? So you might be respecting those who sign up, but you're not respecting those who didn't sign up and those who whose names were taken from other roles. Yeah. So another glaring, you know, piece of misinformation, I believe, right here. Some doublespeak. And then finally, number 3. Oh, might be one more. Oh no. Number 3, Na'i Aupuni, the final destination will be determined by the people on this journey. And again, yeah, the contradiction in this, if you read the DOI rules, if you read, you know, how they've kind of framed this nation to nation, or sorry, government to government relationship that they want to have with the Hawaiian people, with the native Hawaiian people, you know, it's already predestined. It's already predetermined. There's no perks to being, you know, there's really even no really, there's really no benefits to being a part of this process other than protecting the Hawaiian homestead benefits and the beneficiaries who do benefit from that. And that in itself is a minority of our people. And so, you know, 3 contradictions, I believe. 1, 2, 3, and you're starting that off, and that's really the splash for this website. That's how they approached our communities. That's how they came down to Keaukaha and talked to us. That's how the DOI came. That's how these guys do things. So we gotta kind of look beyond the fancy graphics, do due diligence, do our research, listen to our kupunas, yeah, who have been fighting this fight for a long time. And not just believe what's in the media and in the pocketbooks, basically, because there's a big spin and there's a big vested interest in some of these things too. So that's my little spiel. Right now I'm gonna talk a little bit about the standard of Aloha Aina afterwards, if we have some time. But that's all I got for now. And I'd like to just get into some of the speakers here. If you haven't signed up, you can still sign up while others are talking. You can just come see one of us, or the girls or the boys back there, and then we'll put your name on here if you don't want to sign yourself, and we'll get started. So we have about 12 speakers signed up so far, and if there's anybody who'd like to start first, otherwise I can choose randomly from this. Any brave Kanaka would like to start us off? Uncle Henry? There we go. Okay, so Uncle Henry knows going to come down and share his mana'o.
First of all, I'd like to say aloha to all of you for taking the effort to at least come so that we can share information, you know, mana'o, on what is being actually extended to our community. And us being Kanakas, I believe we have a responsibility to what type of information is shared to our community and to each one of us. And not only myself, I believe my children, who really don't understand what is happening, okay? And I came today because we were involved with the Mauna Kea issue, okay? And we were invited to participate with our young Nakos who went up there and executed what they believe is right. And we stood behind them, and of course, like anything else, yeah, you're gonna go through some legal activity, which resulted, I believe this week, yeah, in it being invalidated, which meant, yeah, that we had some equipment up at the site to support our you know, like I said, our young Nakor, and they wouldn't release it unless we showed up to reclaim what is rightfully ours. And I thought there was, in a journey to try to accomplish, one of the most impossible tasks that I believe myself and those who believe that there was an injustice done many years ago, over a century. And that injustice was they stole my identity, they stole my right to govern, okay? And they now want to extinguish those rights, okay? And I'm speaking on my behalf, no one else, okay? I've involved myself with a process that has been ongoing now for over 16 years, and the basis of that process was very simple. There was only one nation that was established before we got overthrown. Well documented, unbelievable when you do the research, the study. Our ancestors, and I'm going to be very open with you, I'm a historian, English, American, and Hawaiian, because I felt that in order to try to resolve this problem, you have to have that understanding on how people perceive different events. And we got caught in between those two nations, okay? And what I ended up realizing was, thank God for our ancestors. They were so much more knowledgeable than I ever did conceive myself to be. They actually learned something that I cannot believe they acquired during their day and age compared to my day and age. Information is at my fingertip. Information for those that was back there, you're talking boats away. You're not even talking to people directly. You're using emissaries, using people to transfer knowledge. And what they did for us, I believe the record proves, our Kanaka history proves, that they had come out from the dark age, or as we call it, the customary practice of our society, okay, to an enlightened age that we today are disputing the outcome. The outcome is real clear to me. A nation stole our inheritance. And that's all I'm going to share about how I feel. But there was something that they didn't accomplish. And they told all of us that in 1993. And that's why I'm here, okay? Because my next talk throughout the islands, and even in the mainland, is going to be simply this. Kanaka, they want you to give them the right to eliminate what is yours. Okay? They want you to do it. Why? Nobody else can do it but us. Because our queen had already preserved our right. Okay. She did that with the superior knowledge of understanding international law. But you guys have to understand, international law also makes it possible for an occupier to take the occupied's resources. This is the result from Akaka Bill, Kauinoa, Na'i Aupuni, and now Na'i Aupuni. The difference that I see between this and the other three, they never mentioned the word referendum in any of the other three. Not once. Why? Because they don't want you to get educated. But they did give you that word in 1993. That far back, they already had an hidden agenda to prepare our population, our race, to eliminate yourself. And this is how they plan to do it. In 1993, a bill was passed. It's called U.S. Public Law. So you would think, you and I actually believed it was a law. So once it's a law, shouldn't the law be executed and performed? No. 10 years later, we got OHA versus the state of Hawaii. What is the result of that? Absurdity. How can somebody sue themselves? How can the state sue the state? Oh, but they was able to get us all to believe that OHA was fighting for our rights. When in fact, you know what the outcome was in that court case? The outcome was, this was declared not a law, but just a resolution. You know how many people put their faith into this document? Because they stated that it was a U.S. Public Law 103-150 documented in Congress, signed by the President, and if you know the Constitution of the United States, that is the law. Not for them. Hell no. You guys realize that the United Nations in 1993 questioned the United States government about this document? Do you realize that in 1997 there was asked again to the United States government, have you fulfilled the obligation in this document? Do you guys realize that the United States said that they gave us back our lands? Come on. You cannot believe what they say. Please. This is what this thing is about. It's about setting up your preoccupied mind. It's difficult for Kanakas. I understand the difficulty. Don't get me wrong. But guess what? This is a well-devised plan to get us Kanakas to reclassify our status as Native Hawaiian Americans. Federal recognition. That's insane. But I can tell you, there's quite a bit out there. Yeah? That have actually, I don't know if they knowingly or willingly or intentionally doing this. I don't know. And I'm not here to even tell them yes or no. Because if you made that commitment, I'm praying to Akua that you went in there to stop this. That's what I'm praying for. Okay? Because we, of the Lofoten government, right, publicly announced, we do not support this process on these grounds. Okay? That this process is leading to the genocide of our people. Genocide. That's a serious accusation. But guess what? They already told you that. They told you that in 1993. Paragraph 29. Okay? In the so-called, supposed to be their public law, which the Supreme Court says, oh no, it's just a resolution. But this is what it reads. Okay? Sorry, I'm getting kind of blind lately. I cannot see it that well. Whereas the indigenous Hawaiian people never directly relinquished their claims to their inherent sovereignty as a people. You guys understand what that says? Yeah? This is the United States Congress and the President who signed it, who's telling all of us, all of us in this room, that we never gave up our inherent sovereignty. Okay? So my question to that when I first read this is, where the heck is this sovereignty if we never gave it up? Where is this thing? That was my first question. Okay? And then they continue. This is what they said to you. Or over their national lands, referring to us now, our lands, to the United States. Oh my God. The two most important factors in being a nation, the two most important elements are in that paragraph. An element of a nation is one, you have to have a distinct population. Obviously, they told you, yeah, that we are Hawaiians. So they helped us. They actually helped us. Yeah. The second element of a nation, yeah, is you have to have a land base. And they told you that again. That we never gave that to them. The third element, and this is in the Montevideo Convention, 1936, okay, in Argentina. This is where a nation is defined, okay? That you need a government, okay? You need a government, not individuals trying to keep professing their mana'o. You need a functional government. So why do we need this? Why? Why we need something like this? For us to agree to form, I don't know. I call it, you know, Dr. Frankenstein to me is the government, United States government. Okay? The state of Hawaii is Dr. Frankenstein's, yeah, creation. Oha is the creation's illegitimate child. Okay? I don't know what this is. This is an alien coming into our race and making us try to execute what Dr. Frankenstein wants. You know what he wants? Watch this. I know. Thanks. I think I danced to your music. It's not the first time you did that to me. But it's all good. It's all good. You know, no, I cannot see. Sorry. By the way, for those of you who I've never met, hi, my name is Henry. Okay. Anyway, okay, this is the next sentence, the very last sentence. Okay, it says, either through the monarch or through a plebiscite or referendum. Okay? So I'm going to read it all together so you guys can understand the whole paragraph. Whereas the indigenous Hawaiian people never directly relinquished their claims to their inherent sovereignty as a people or over their national lands to the United States, either through their monarch or through a plebiscite or referendum. We all know about our Queen's protest letter. If you don't know, it's a part of our history. Okay? Our Queen, on the very day that we was losing our nation, our government, she executed international law. Okay? And she preserved the right of our independent status to exist in perpetuity. And I'm telling you, our independent status, that's what she did by objecting and protesting to the actions that was being done on January 17, 1893. Okay? So she didn't give it up. Guess what? Our native Hawaiian Americans will. Because if you guys go through the DOI, all the rules that was passed down on this process, the key word is referendum. They finally had to come out and tell all of us that, oh, we're going to go to a convention, a referendum, and we're going to decide in this convention. And I'm going to tell you, it's all about participation. It's all about participation. They don't give a darn root what the hell you opposing or you like. As long as you guys will make that happen, that's all they want. That's what they did to the Indians in 1936. That's what they do to the Native Alaskans. They legislated them right out of their resources. So, I just came. And I didn't know this was happening. Okay? I didn't know. But I'm going to tell you, this is coming out after tomorrow. Okay, I'm putting this out so every Kanaka can understand, or at least try to understand, what is happening to our community. This is, the deepest evil that was planned 120 years ago. Okay? And I tell you, they're so good that they're about to conquer the world at a time when us Kanakas are going to free ourselves. Why? I couldn't share this before. I used to talk about this. Nobody could understand what I was trying to tell them. But this, yeah, I thank Akua that this one happened. And I'm going to tell you why. Our Kanaka cannot refute what's in. I'm not telling you this now. I'm just showing you that this is what is written. And our Kanakas right now, and I can share this, our strategy for this convention is to shut it down, not from us from the outside, but to get those who participating, come on, don't sell our rights out. In fact, get real, get real. Shut it down, let's do our own convention, we'll support it, we'll finance it, whatever, but let's do our own. And I thank you. Aloha. Anybody got any questions? I'm willing to field.
Mahalo nui. If we have questions, maybe we take one question after each speaker, one lucky person. But other than that, we have about 11, 12 speakers. So and we're supposed to get out here at 7. We'll probably push that as far as we can go. But just want everybody to keep in mind that have about 10 minutes per speaker when you come off. I'm not gonna bust a DUI, tap you on your shoulder, or anything like that. No worries. But mahalo, Uncle Henry. Any questions you had?
I just was going to ask, he said he was going to put it out. How is he going to publish it?
How are you going to publish?
Oh, yeah. I actually have an expose coming out.
On where?
Yeah. Oh, I just want to put them on the internet. Actually, we're going to do a
So on your
conference.
website.
We'll put it on our website too.
So
Yes.
then we got to take it and put it on ours.
Yeah, fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah.
Okay, that's Uncle Henry Noah, Prime Minister for the Lawful Hawaiian Government, LHG, mahalo nui. Okay, so we can get into number 2 here. Auntie Melissa. Is that Uncle Hank saying he likes to take your place? Okay. So mahalo Auntie Melissa Moniz.
Welcome home.
Aloha. I'm Melissa, Facebook Melissa. I've used that Facebook the best way I could to educate our people. When I first started, everybody thought it was crazy. And I guess I'm crazy because I spend my time 24/7 on Facebook trying to educate our people. Henry, I want to thank you for what you shared. We need to know that. There's so many people that don't really know the truth, and the truth needs to be told. I want to talk about the lawsuit, Grassroots and Judicial Watch. I'm on that lawsuit. It was kind of hard for me to go on the lawsuit because I stay with American Hawaiians and I stay with Americans that don't like Hawaiians. And it was a very hard decision. But I never have money. They got chalk money. And they had Akina, the first time they get a Hawaiian president. And he's an American Hawaiian as American Hawaiian can get. You cannot get more like him. But he was willing to listen to what was so in my heart. And I pray that the lawsuit goes through, that they stop this. I've been following this from when it was a Native Hawaiian Government Act. This has been my job for years. From there to a Kaka bill, to Kauinoa, to Na'i Aupuni, and now to this. And like what Henry said, they never talked about referendum until this one. This is where the global settlement is coming. This is where they're going to make the major settlement for everything they own us. And to me, I don't trust these buggers, because I think the settlement going to be without a damn apology. That's what us Hawaiians going to get, an apology.
Or some more landfill.
And take more of our lands. It's a really hurting situation, because it's tearing our people apart only because they did not take the time to educate us. When they first began it with the Native Hawaiian Government Act, they never came out into communities and asked us, what did we want? They never asked us nothing, all the way down to here. That's, there's no informed consent. This is definitely not self-determination. This is taking something and shoving it down your throat, and Hawaiian, too bad. What really bothers me about this whole thing is, it's genocide. But the worst kind of genocide ever is Hawaiians genociding us. This is not black, white, and all that kind. This is our own, eating our own. And it's so hard for me to understand how you can do that. I just don't understand. I'm on vacation here for 5 weeks. I live in Texas. The only thing good about Texas is one day they might succeed and I'll be living in a foreign country. Other than that, I miss home a lot. But I spend my time 24/7 trying to malama our people from away. Somebody gotta do it. Just because I left didn't mean I was going to give up my people. And I have one more thing to say. Today a friend called me up and he told me, I asked him, Lono, go right to the Na'i Aupuni people. I like to know how many people outside the state of Hawaii would sign up. Who certified? Lono told me 16,300 something. That's it. 16,300 something. And I said, Lono, they get all the addresses and everything? He told me, yeah, except for 2,900 something. No more address, no more phone number, no more email. So I'm going to assume that's our brothers in prison. Now, plenty of people on the continent, they get real pissed off at me because this is what I feel. Those on the continent, yeah, you love Hawaii. Yes, where all your families stay. You know, brada and all that. But when the shit come down, it's the people that live home that should make the decisions of what's happening here. Because you don't live here. And I talk about myself. You have to live here for know what our people going through in order to make the decisions for them. I saw the lists of some of them on the continent. I don't even know who the hell they are. Most of them is from the civic clubs. That's danger right there. Because they all American as can be. It's, they get pissed off at me because I'll stand up and tell them, you have no right to make decisions for our people at home. You want to make decisions, go home. And I say that with my whole heart and soul. Thank you.
Hallelujah, Auntie Melissa Moniz. Again, she has a civic club in Texas, right, Kaihula? Or they would pull your charter out. She's one of the few, civic clubs on not the mainland, on the continent, right, that advocate for deoccupation and independence. So, mahalo nui for what you do.
I have my civic club, and I formed it, and I never liked, but I wanted to infiltrate the buggers, so I did. And for the past year and a half, Anel has made it her business to pull my charter. She's trying her damnedest. It's me, Lynette Cruz, and Skippy. We're catching it. And because she pissed me off, I'm going to be one more year. I was pulling out because who the hell likes sit with people like that? You know, if I sit with her, I'm legitimizing her. They no good. They're selling us down the road. Here, baby.
Thank you so much, Auntie. That was some great manaho she had. There's, I think, 45% of our people who live on the continent too, yeah? So that's a lot, that's a big chunk of our people who might not know what's going on. So it's even harder for those guys to do what they do. So mahalo nui. So up next we have Auntie Ku Kahakalau, Dr. Ku Kahakalau. Mahalo nui.
My name is Ku, and my great-grandfather, Daniela Kikino Kahakalau, was the president of the Hui Aloha o Kalihiuka and a staunch supporter of the Queen. And when he lived during the time, we transitioned supposedly from a kingdom to a territory, but he never gave up his right, nor did my great-grandma Keao Opupele. Same thing for my grandpa, William Keahunui Kahakalau. He was born in the kingdom and then passed away during that time that they called the territory, but he never gave up his right to be Hawaiian, nor did my dad, Robert Kahakalau, or any of us. And so we raised our children, my husband and I, from baby on, as Hawaiians. We never looked at ourselves as Americans because my mom's pure German and my dad's Hawaiian. There's no American in that mix kind of thing. And so that was my daughter's first English sentence was, Mama Hawaiian, Papa Hawaiian, I'ini Hawaiian. That was, and there was no question about what she was because that's who we are, we Hawaiian. And so when my mom is pure German, as I said, my dad was a jazz musician. He played all over the world, and then we was in Germany. And in 1979, I came home. I was born in Honolulu, but then we was gone for a while. Then I came home in 1979, just when all the sovereignty stuff started to happen, all the learning about the language. My grandpa was a native speaker, so I figured if I'm going to be Hawaiian, I better learn how to talk like him, because how can I be Hawaiian if I don't can talk like him? So I learned the language, I became a teacher, and started to learn about this whole political and history stuff at the university. And at that time, there was only one guy. His name was Hayden Burgess, now it's called Pokalai Nui, that was talking independence. Everybody pretty much else, Kalahui, we was at the Constitutional Convention, Malia Puka Okalani, we was thinking, maybe we can get a nation within a nation, get something, because, this United States is so big and we're so small, and of course, whatever they told us, we believed them. Well, last May, my daughters and I, we were in Keaukaha when the DOI came, and us, including with 100% of everybody else who was there, was not for a nation within a nation. They was for independence. So this is 1979 to 2014. We've been watching these events happen and seeing what made the change. I was part of the early Kalahui, Auntie, plenty, other people. What made the change from asking for a nation within a nation to demanding independence? This is the things that I see having gone through this. Number one in 79, we didn't know all the lies and the illegal stuff that the U.S. did. Now we know. Now we know that this was the whole thing. We would have needed to have so many people, but as far as the vote in Congress at the time of the turnover, now we know that putting us onto the list to be decolonized already showed that there were problems with that. Now we know all these things that the U.S. illegally, outright illegally did to make us think we are a state right now of the United States. So that's one thing that changed that we didn't know in 79. Another thing we didn't know was that our kupuna, hundreds and thousands and tens of thousands of our kupuna signed those papers. They sang songs. They did whatever they could. They organized about their own right to be who the Creator meant them to be, which is Kanaka. They never gave up. They fought, and some of them wrote, until the last Kanaka. We didn't know that in 1979. The other thing we also didn't have at that time was an international law passed by the UN in 2007, the indigenous right of Native people, not to nation within a nation status of another nation that ripped them off, but to independence, if that's what those people want. That is now, since 2007, an international right that we didn't have in 1979 either. And for me as an educator, the number one thing for that is that UN that UN declaration in Article 14 says that indigenous people have the right to design and control our own education. And that's what we've been pushing, that's what we've been working on, and that these clowns or any of these other clowns before them are completely forgetting all about, nobody's mentioning anything about having our own system of education, having our own banks, having our own, all of those things. That is part of this UN right to be a sovereign, independent people. Another thing that in 79 we did not see and did not know that we know clearly now is whatever the Native Americans got, we don't want. Okay? We don't want. They're still in the same place they was, on the bottom of every positive education indicator, on the bottom of every negative or positive health, bad health, and the poorest people in the whole U.S. Okay, that's what that's the best scenario, right? That they're offering to us is an Indian scenario when the Indians never got nothing out of their sovereignty. As a matter of fact, not this year, the year before, my husband and I presented at the university in Eugene, Oregon, on a conference organized by Native Americans called Alternatives to Sovereignty. Okay? So the Indians is so over it, they're already now talking about alternatives to sovereignty. I mean, this was at the university, a full-on Indian from all over the continent, from Alaska came to talk about alternatives to sovereignty because they're so disappointed with what the sovereignty gave them. And here we are, can we please have some? Hello, that's not what we want. That's the last thing we would want, is to have something that other people are saying, we don't want this. This has not worked out for us at all. So when we look at it from that perspective, there's absolutely no reason why we would want to put our name on any kind of role that is controlled by those who took away our rights, by those who made us think that we were stupid. I mean, and still today, that was so strong, that brain damage that was done to us by mostly the public school system and the churches, but it happened everywhere. Everywhere we went, you Kanaka, must be more low than everybody else, right? And the statistics now, if we looked at those statistics, they have statistics to prove that. Well, we have statistics when we do things our own way that show that that's absolutely not true, and that our kids are just as brilliant as anybody else's kids, and that we can go anywhere that we want to go. And we don't need them to figure out how to create a new nation. We don't need them to create our own system of education or anything else, because we are just as akamai as anybody else. If any, see, I don't want to go to the more part because we don't need to be more. It's evident, but we don't need to say it, kind of thing. Right? If you got eyes, you can see, and we have common sense. That's another thing. See, not everybody got that either. Nah. The reality is, I have never put my name on any of these roles from the beginning, because why would I give the thief my credit card? You know, why would I? You know, that makes no sense whatsoever. So we have been strong supporters of a way for us to be Hawaiian. That's really what it's all about, right? It's being able to live the values of Mai Kupuna every single day, and that includes Malama Da'aina, that includes Aloha Kikahi Kikahi, that includes making the best of whatever we can, doing everything to the highest standard that we can, because those are the values of our kupuna, and we can do that. We have the capacity to do that. And so when they come and tell us that they need to control the process, we have to question that, because why would we want them to control the process? So I ask you, this is just from me to you, as an educator, to educate yourselves. The more you know, the more you will see how this makes no sense whatsoever, how these illegal actions cannot be made legal now just because they're going to get so many people to vote on something. That's not going to change the fact that the whole, from the overthrow on, that whole history that we were taught is wrong. Yeah? Just so happens it's wrong, and that we now know that our kupuna stood strong, and their message to us is Kue. Mahalo.
I came out of Kukulukumuhana and the Hawaiian immersion schools, yeah, and we weren't even allowed legally to speak our language until '78, again, in the occupied state of Hawaii, yeah. So a lot of what she's talking about, yeah, the Kue petitions that we found in the '90s, yeah, and looking through the old Hawaiian newspapers, yeah, that's what we're building off. The strength that we've gotten and the empowerment that we've gotten since the '70s, and us, the generation today, we're a product of that, and we got to continue that. So mahalo nui.
Aloha, everybody. I don't know what I'm doing up here because I'm, you know, I can hear what's going on, I can see what's going on and all that. And yes, I am a candidate to be a delegate. And let me just say that I went through a lot of mental gymnastics before I came up with a position. When Kanai'olelo first came out, I was on the list. And I was on the list because in the 1980s, I had signed up for an OHA program. I think it was OHA, Project Ohana or something like that. And so 30-something years later, or whatever the time has passed, they bring these names out from the past and put them on their dang list. And my first reaction was, get off the list, and I did. However, okay, let me say this, that if you don't know who I am or what I've been doing, I am pro-independence, pro-kingdom, pro-Liliuokalani, pro-Kue petitioners, all kinds of pro things that, you know, is reflected in my record if you don't know my record, whatever. And let me also add that I am anti-Akaka, I am anti-Na'i Aupuni, I am anti-Kanai'olelo. And so I don't know really where to start here or where to continue, but let me tell you this. I personally feel, for instance, that we are in a very interesting time. Actually, I am experiencing the most exciting times of my life. And I've been doing, you know, a lot of things, good, bad, whatever, indifferent, for a long time. But as you can guess or know or whatever, I have been involved with Mauna Kea since the 1990s. We got together as a hui of some sort, sort of an informal hui, and we ended up, you know, fighting astronomy and everything else, which, you know, it was like the Keck Observatory's outrigger telescope, and we won that one. And then we had this TMT, and let me tell you, these guys are, you know, they're talking big bucks, and they're getting people to believe in what they're doing. In other words, we're going to provide you guys with jobs. We're going to come out with zillions of dollars for education. We're going to make Hawaiians become astronomers and maybe even, you know, run observatories in the mountain. And so they got big bucks, and they're spending them. They have spent them, and us Lolos, you know, we've been trying to fight them for quite a while. In fact, the TMT has been on our horizon the last 10 years or so. And so when we started with the TMT, there were very few people that were willing to get out there and you know, really get into the fight. But I'm also not saying that we had lots of supporters, people who, you know, Hawaiians mostly, but not all Hawaiians. And so we've been, you know, taking things one step at a time, and all of a sudden we get Haleakala in the Supreme Court, and a couple of months ago we got the TMT in the Supreme Court. And if you haven't seen anything about that or read about that or whatever, you know, what happened in the Supreme Court, I believe, was a victory. But we don't know what the court's decision is going to be yet. Although I'm thinking that the justices, after what they said and the kinds of questions they asked at the Supreme Court in this oral argument, is something that they cannot really go back on because they asked some really great questions. And they got some great answers from our side and some really great non-answers from the other side. And so, let me go on from there. 2 weeks ago, I was in Honolulu. I am one of two people who became plaintiffs. That was Auntie Maxine, Kaholelio, and me. And so we got NHLC, Native Hawaiian Legal Corporation, to represent us. And we sued the state because the state was not doing its job, its obligations, as far as the Army's lease of some state lands, but these are stolen lands, at Po'akaloa. The same thing happened. The lease goes back to about 1948. And the way we figured it out, in 51 years, the state has gone and inspected Po'akaloa one time, in 1984. So that's not a bad record. One inspection in 50 years, you know, maybe they'll have 2 in 100, I don't know. But the important part is this, that we're trying to maybe beat some common sense of the state and all that, but it's very difficult. Because the state is now, well, the Army is now trying to renegotiate a lease for Po'akaloa for another 65 years, and at no charge. So even though the first lease was for 65 years, for a whole $1, you know, $1 for 65 years is what? A couple pennies a year, Anyway, now they want it for free. And so we're hoping that we can get the state to slow down that, but it's up to the court, First Circuit Court in this case in Honolulu. And of course, in the meantime, the state did the emergency rule. And thank goodness Kalani Flores became plaintiff to challenge that rule. I was fortunate because he called, other than himself, he called one witness, and it happened to be me. And so I was able to be a witness for that case. And it was just two of us, him, the plaintiff, me, a witness, and we all know what happened after that the judge threw the thing out. And so we have these things that are going on. We're trying to win the battle one step at a time, and I think we are. So in the near future, hopefully we'll be getting a decision on Puaka law and one on TMT. And so these are some of the things I've been involved in, and like I said, I'm undergoing some of the most exciting times in my life. As far as Na'i Aupuni goes, like I said earlier, I believe it's a defective kind of thing, but some of us have decided to fight it from the inside. I don't know if there's any one good way to do it. We need guys on the outside, we need guys on the inside. Those of you who are registered, I would appreciate your voting for me. And the rest, we have a handful of pro-independence candidates in there from Hawaii Island. In fact, Hawaii Island has the best numbers of pro-independence candidates for Na'i Aupuni. And so, including, I don't know, we all know Lanakila. He jumped in, and then we got on Oahu, we got Williamson Chang, who's, well, he's about as good as you can get. A professor at the University of Hawaii Law School, who, by the way, is doing a case tomorrow in Waimea. He's representing Skippy Ioane in trial because of an arrest on Mauna Kea. So these are some of the kinds of people we got on there, and so I'm not telling you should vote or not vote. I'm just telling you that I'm running, and you do what you need to do. Thank you.
Kia'i up there on the Mauna, and as you can see, it takes a little bit of you gotta step into the ring sometimes to get stuff done. So even if we don't agree with what he's doing, we can kako what he's going to be doing in there. Yeah. You have a question?
I just wanted to know if you have any thoughts on how are you going to do it from the inside? What is your strategy?
Number one, I would like to get as many pro-independence people elected as possible. Number two, and very important, when this document or whatever this product is that comes out, and you will be asking for people to ratify it, that I hope we have a bunch of people who say no. That's, okay, that's my two big points. But there's a third point, and that is that we have, okay, to go back further. We're not Hawaiian. The United States has decided we're Hawaiian because they passed in 1920 the Homestead Acts, and that was defined there. But we have opposition because we have a lot of Hawaiian Americans who are at the trough, and they want to continue to be at the trough. And these are, actually, I hate to say it, but they're our enemies. And so, because they are our enemies, is one of the reasons I'm running. And so, these are my three important points.
We have FT
to ramrod us. And so, I can give you 1,000 reasons why you don't want to do this. But it's just like these rallies that's been having anti Na'i Aupuni. That's fine and dandy, but it's only here. Here is not going to be the controlling factor. And so I always look for different spots. I'm a warrior. I want to know if I'm going to take on a giant. I want to know where his heel is. I'm going to hit his Achilles heel. And so what I'd like to do is share with you something that a while back I was able to assemble Na'i Aupuni from all 6 districts of this island to work as one unit. I bring that up to you because we always talk about honoring our ancestors. We talk about our queen and our ancestors and stuff like that. And I'm a very firm believer that we should very much take note of that and follow in their footsteps, just like they did the Kuwait petition. And so when I'm looking at this problematic thing, I don't know anybody who is satisfied with the way this election is being handled. We don't know who the candidates are. We don't know what their expertise is. We don't know what their positions are, you know, and then we're being crammed. You know, you got 40 days to make up your mind. You know, who decided there was 20 delegates from all? Tell me who decided that. That's the kind of stuff. I'm saying that there's not a person in this room that doesn't have a question as to how the fuck this got to be. So how the fuck this got to be the way it is now. Excuse my language. Sometimes I get carried away. Anyway, so I'm always looking for something that will diminish that thing. And I think we have it. I think we have it in the position paper of Na'i Aupuni Moko Kiawi. When we put together Na'i Aupuni Moko Kiawi, one of the things we were very, very concerned about is that the pattern has been that we come up with these groups, that these groups operate from one island, and pretty soon they're talking for all the islands. And that was always a problem because who said you could talk for us? So we thought to avoid that problem, we're going to concentrate on this island, which is the biggest island. We have 6 districts here, and I was able to amass kupuna from all 6 districts, well-known kupuna at their time. And we did some really marvelous things. In 2003, we publicized in writing the foundation paper of Na'i Aupuni Moko Kiawi. I would like to read that to you because this is something your kupuna worked on very diligently. And it's a very genetic statement. And it was done in such a way where we wanted to make it so generic that if other islands felt they'd want to join in, it would be easy enough to join in because there's nothing really problematic or questionable about what we're saying. We were just taking a glimpse of the time and put it on record. I'm going to show you this part first, which is the foundation, and then I'm going to read to you another part that was also in the publication that has to do with what we're dealing right now, with the voting. Okay? So don't mind me. I read a little slow. I think this is very lovely myself. When we used to have our meetings, because we always said, it was always the situation when you have meetings, you always have guys from the state or somebody like that, pro-Americans, that would come inside and keep telling you, keep interrupting the situation so we can never get anything done. So our policy was, when we have meetings, I'd hang this up at the door. If you don't confer with this information, then you're probably in the wrong room. And it made it very, very easy for us to conduct our business. And so I'd like to read this to you, if I may. And it goes right from the top. It starts off right off the bat saying, in the footsteps of the ancestors. And of course it has our lovely queen there. It says, Na'i Aupuni Moko Kiawi. This is this side. You have to turn like this so I can read them. Okay, it says, Keoku is the spiritual foundation of the Hawaiian Kingdom. We gather this day, May 3rd, 2003, in Hilo, to recognize and affirm our traditional and customary role as kupuna representing the 7 districts of Mokuokiapi. It's really 6 unless you really know the 7th. We gather to protect, promote, and preserve the rights of dominion inherently vested in the Kanakamoli people over all matters concerning laws, land, water, air, and occupancy throughout the Hawaiian archipelago. We, the following, step forth as district representatives comprising Mokuokiapi and our traditional roles as Nakapuna. We further pledge our allegiance to the lawful Hawaiian kingdom, to our beloved Queen Lydia Kamakaeha Liokolani, and to our founding fathers, Kamehameha First and Kamehameha Third. It is our purpose to join in concert to recognize one another as traditional kupuna, representing the districts of Mokuokiapi, for the mutual protection against the onslaught of oppression, destruction, and deceit of the foreign military occupying forces and of civilian governments of the United States and the state of Hawaii, its agencies and representatives. It is further stated that the Hawaiian people recognize that we as subjects to the Hawaiian kingdom cannot accept posthumously an apology to our queen. Therefore, we must take the responsibility to continue her legacy and hereby notice all government entities, foreign or domestic, that the inherent sovereignty of the Hawaiian people belong to the individuals, and that no organization, including OHA, DHHL, or any group may represent the Hawaiian people without notice and express permission on every matter. And I think that's pretty generic. I mean, it's something, we did it in such a way so other islands, what we were hoping to have done is that other islands will see that this is such a generic message that other islands can say, we would like to utilize or adopt your message in our foundation of our islands. And the reason why, to me, it's very important, this pattern is because we published this in 2003. That gives a 13-year precedent, and you don't want to lose the precedent. Also in that publication, by the way, which is published in Hawaii Island Journal, is another statement, and I'll read it from here. It says, we gather this day, May 31st, 2003, in the District of Puna, to address the following: to state, give notice, and register our opposition on the use of proxy voting by any government agency, state or federal, as well as any club or organization, civil, social, or private, on any matter concerning the development of a governing body for the Hawaiian people. Black's Dictionary states that proxy is one who is authorized to act as a substitute for another, or person who is authorized to vote another's stock. We, Nakapuna, forbid any organization from using the names on the membership rosters, the registration list, or any other form of registration without the consent of each individual. And then I have a whole list of kupuna who have signed this, and there are many, many more, but we published it, and you got to pay for the amount of letters. Okay, so the following kupuna were po'o of the districts, with others conferring. From the district of Hilo, kupuna po'o Abi Napiahi. Other kupuna included Eleanor Ahuna and Maili Akim Su. From Puna, we had kupuna po'o Robert Keli'i Homalu. Other kupuna mean Deborah Pasqua and Leilani Chow. From Ka'u, we had kupuna po'o Jesse Key and other kupuna like Abel Louis. From Kona, we had kupuna po'o Atamarhi, Mahi, kupuna Kanak Napiahi, Henry K. Kai, Vanessa Gomez, Kealoha Kaeo, Stanley Hui Hui, Alvin Akina, and Junior Kanuha. From Kohala, we had Sunny Pa'alua. Other kupuna include Kim Smith and Walter Akau, William Akau. From the district of Hamakua, we had Po'o Walter Victor, Abraham and Reynolds Kamakavivioli, Everett Franco, and Mary Reyes. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is that Act 195, as you know, Act 195 came into being because Kauinoa was such a flop. And they wanted to figure out, they're spending so much money and getting nothing out of it. So they had to figure out a way to boost their numbers. And so they created this act called Act 195, which is in fact a very illegal act. They said that if you have Hawaiian names from whatever rosters you got, whether from Hawaiian Homes, Bishop Estate, from any program, any school like the Hawaiian Registries, if you were in a knitting class that was sponsored by OHA, your names would automatically be transferred over. And that means when you put it on the rolls of Na'i Aupuni, and that's the rolls that they're going to use, in the rolls of Kanai Olobalu, which are the rolls that are going to be used for Na'i Aupuni. That is proxy voting. And I think in the real world, in a lawful world, we can protest all we want. And it's a good rallying point, but it doesn't have points of law. And we need to look at a point of law. And the point of law is that they're using proxy voting, which is illegal. Your kupuna said this in 2003, and nobody objected to it. And so I would like to charge up people to say, you know, that sounds like we could do a Kuei petition all over again on this proxy voting. Because most of you in this room who are on that list didn't get there because you signed up. You got there because somebody put your name there. That's proxy voting. That is illegal, and we should stand on that part because we can kick the knee. You know, when you fighting giants, find the Achilles heel, bro. And I believe that's the Achilles heel. I believe that also will give us one of the thoughts that go around every place I go. One of the most common complaints is we don't have enough information. We don't know about this, we don't know about that, we don't know. Why are we stuck with 40 days to come up with a constitution? Yeah? Nobody's telling you the part that all this has to go through to the Department of Interior. You know? They give you little slide jobs like, well, you have the same rights as an Indian. You ever think about what an Indian's rights are? I've got 6 volumes of federal Indian laws. I just want to read to you some of the chapters, just so you know how clever these suckers are. Yes. I'm sorry? Oh, okay. Sorry. Anyway, if you want to know about this, it's called the Federal Felix Cohen Federal Indian Laws. They're like 6 volumes, but they have everything that you've heard about, like Office of Indian Affairs, the treaties, federal Indian legislation, the power of the federal government over Indians. And by the way, in case you don't know, with the legislation, the court case that's going on right now with Akina them, here's what the lawyers for Na'i Aupuni said right off the bat. Where is it? I can't find a piece of paper. However, it says, it is legal because we're forming an Indian tribe. They said it was legal what they're doing because they're forming an Indian tribe, and that's part of a federal mandate. So all this bullshit they give you about independence and all this kind of stuff, you can self-determine for yourself a government in a parking lot. And what you're going to lose, what people don't understand is what is to lose. You're going to lose your mountains, you're going to lose your watersheds, you're going to lose your shorelines. All those things are yours already. But they want you to give up that. When I used to work with the Kupuna and they were starting to show some interest in Kauino, I finally got a chance to sit down with them. I said, Auntie, do you think they treat Native Americans as first or second class citizens? And they said, oh, second or third. I said, they've been telling you don't have a Hawaiian kingdom, that you're a first class American citizen. Now they're asking you to volunteer to be a second. Do you want that for your families? Mahalo.
Hallelujah. Stay to the point. This is quick and easy. What I wanted to share with everybody as we're in this process of educating ourselves. Yeah. So I'm 35. Everybody know I'm here at the UH. Perfect example, just to see in the basis of our education, you can see our 2 flagpoles. If you guys notice, under the ruling of the flagpole, any U.S. State of the Union, if you look under the federal law, it requires it to be on only 1 pole. Okay, so that's also another question to ask. Has that view been already verified, right? So just look at that, and within that, if you guys kind of followed the fight for that, we've been able to prove it through the education. So 2 things I wanted to share, and I wanted everybody to take the time to look. And it was interesting because everybody heard of the Rice and Cayetano case, and as well as the what Henry Noah shared was the Hawaii versus state versus OHA. Thanks. So for me, I needed to understand what made the stance in our community, what was the rules. So I went directly to the source. If you copy down this website, there's the oral arguments there. Okay, I was tired of hearing people just like give their views of the case, you know, and just kind of, and to read it is very huge. Take the 40 minutes and listen to the oral arguments. It clearly states a lot of the things that we're all talking about. We all understand contracts. In this right here, clearly states the contract between OHA, DUI, the federal government. It's perpetuating the lie. So what I wanted to do is have this available so everybody can see the case. This is Rice versus Cayetano. Listen to the oral arguments. The lawyer clearly state, because the Supreme Court asked, how does the federal government, the Congress, have power when there was an exchange, right? 1959, there was a land exchange, right? There's an exchange, we understand that. But see, with this fight, even with the resolution, what they're saying is they were committing, the state of Hawaii was crying because they were committing a federal offense. So you see already the contract deal, right? The state is committing a federal offense to the base contract that was made, which is Na'i Aupuni in this process. It clearly states it in the case. Just take the time to listen to what they're arguing about, what they're talking about. It was really interesting to me because they barely talked about kingdom. You know what I mean? The one thing I really thought was interesting, the answer to why Congress has power is they use 1778, right? 1778 was when, right, Captain Cook came. So clearly when the Supreme Court asked him that in the argument, the plaintiff clearly stated that they have power because they're able to enact new land discovery law, right? So here we are talking about independence, but you see this process as I look through these 2 cases, legal cases, they jump over it. So my question at my age is, why are they jumping over that? And we did mention is the removal of that identity, right? It's clearly that they're trying to remove that defined identity. And within the court cases here, if you haven't wrote it down, right, oyez.org case, you can just look up Cayetano. So the oral arguments is there. And then here is the state of Hawaii versus OHA. Okay, so I'm hoping to be able to dialogue with anybody that listen to it, please, though. Listen to it first. I'm very readable to, because they have the transcripts, they lay out each person's conversation and any questions to that line. So I'm willing to share what I found within that, where it's still, like I said, where they admitted Congress has power only because they're able to enact that law. And then you look at Public Law 280, right? Public Law 280 allows states to enact law in reservations. Now, if you look at Congress's definition under this casing, For reservations, guess what? What's underneath there is government and public land as well in Hawaii, if you look at the cases. So again, it's definition and terminologies that I'm trying to lay out what was set already. I understand contracts, right? We fulfill that from when we're keiki to when we get old, to asking for a cookie or a time for, you know what I mean? There's contracts, there's deals being made. So I'm just wanted to share this resource. Please take a look, take the time to listen, because it's directly there coming from the beast itself, right? So in the court case. So hopefully you guys got those two, take the time, and that's all I wanted to share with everybody. Thanks.
Miracles are happening. And I see this Aupuni as sort of being a miracle. It may not be as bad as you think. If you read it, they put a really good plan, and vote. But if you guys don't vote, you're not going to have good delegates. And if you don't have good delegates, the same thing is going on, and all your wishes will be granted. You will have the same rubber stamp stuff. You got, you know, Kuching, you've got Monikala, you've got Monikila. I know very few people. I mean, I've just met you folks, and I really appreciate what you say, because I believe it. But you're on the outside, and you're in a government that doesn't listen to anything on the outside. You got to get in. You got to, and I think this is a good chance to do it. If you guys were all par on the outside, then I say you got a big chance, but you're not. You've got separate groups, and you cannot win with separate groups. You have to join, and I really encourage the outside groups to really get par together, because you guys are on the right track. What you're saying is true. But there's a lot of Hawaiians that still believe in the Indian tribes. I'm scared of that, because DOI is pushing it. I don't know if, I mean, maybe you guys are so involved with the Hawaiian stuff, you're not watching. The United States is pushing it fast. Yes. And if that happens, that's one more struggle you have to go through. But I believe in miracles. I think it can change.